guys, welcome to Nyonya Cooking. It's time for another video, and in this video we are going to bake. Now this whole baking recipe came about because my mother and my sister kept telling me about this delicious cake that they tasted, and I got really frustrated because I cannot eat it, I cannot taste it, but they kept telling me how creamy it was, how delicious it is, how luscious it looks like, and this is Durian Swiss Roll. Now durian, for those of you who do not know, is the king of fruits. Durian is spiky, it's stinky to some, but to me it smells heavenly. It's one of my most favorite fruits in the whole wide world. Now you have to try durian, and if you do not like durian, you can always opt for mangoes or strawberries. Either way, it's going to be delicious. But what's important here is the Swiss roll cake. Now before that, we have to look at the ingredients. So here I have wheat flour or all-purpose flour, corn flour, milk, oil, egg yolk, sugar, egg white, more sugar, and lastly, for this luscious creamy durian feeling, we'll need durian, sugar just to add some sweetness, and whipping cream. That's all. What we want is light fluffy Swiss roll cake, and of course this creamy durian flavor that really goes together. And trust me, make this if you are a durian lover. You're gonna thank me later on. Let's start preparing the batter. I'm gonna whip these egg whites first. So egg whites, very important. Clean bowl, start with a clean bowl, and also clean whisk. And we will start beating at high speed. See how it bubbles? And this is when we'll stop and add sugar a bit at a time. Once the bubbles get finer, this is when we'll put the speed to medium, just so that we will not overbeat these egg whites. We're going to beat the egg whites until it gets soft peaked. So as we put it up, as you can see, this is still very weak, and we're going to beat it a bit more, and I'm going to show you what I mean. Okay, yep. And this is exactly what I mean, because once you lift it up, so it stays put. Once this is done, place this in the fridge, and we're going to beat the egg yolks now. Same method, pour the egg yolk into a bowl. Then we'll beat it until it's slightly light yellow in color. Then we'll stop. But we'll also need to add sugar a bit at a time. And this is exactly when we'll stop, because as you can see, the color of the egg yolk has already faded into this really pale yellow color. And that's when we can stop. And that's all with the hand mixer. We will not use it anymore. So if you want more tips and tricks on how to beat the egg yolks and also egg whites, which are really important steps, and also the speed of the mixer, head on to nyonyacooking.com. That's where I have the full recipe and also all these detailed steps that you must know. So for this step now, what we are going to do is to first mix milk and oil together. Okay, just going to leave it aside first, and also wheat flour and also corn flour. All we are going to do is just to mix this well. As you can see, I have the sieve ready, so we are going to add the flour mixture directly into the egg yolks, a bit at a time. Now with a rubber spatula or a spoon, you can just mix this well. Then I'm going to add more. Okay, and the last bit. Now you see these little clumps here. I'm not sure if you can see them, but that's why we must sieve this. Swiss roll cakes are very soft and fluffy, so you wouldn't want clumps like this in the cake. Now as you can see, this is getting a bit dry, so I would like to add milk and oil. And all you need to do now is mix well. Again, this step is absolutely important before you add the egg whites into the batter. Now look at this, it's smooth and nice. So what I'm going to do now is to add the egg whites. So we're going to add the egg whites to the egg yolks a bit at a time again, so you can divide it to like say a third at once. So let's start. And then mix well. So this is the final result, and the batter is ready. So mix well until you can't really see egg whites and it's all mixed thoroughly. So now over here, let me show you what I have. It's a pan, and I have some baking paper here so that it will be easier to remove the cake later on after baking. And if you're wondering what spots are these are just actually butter spots, just to ensure that the baking paper sticks to the pan. If you want to know what's the measurement of the pan and what's the ideal measurement, because this is really not the ideal measurement, I'm going to tell you why later. Again, the website nyonyacooking.com will have all these details. So right now, I'm just going to pour this batter into the pan. Try to pour the batter slowly because as you can see, the bubbles will pop as we pour the batter out into the pan. Now as you can see, there are still bubbles everywhere. What we can do is to tap the pan a few times onto the table. Then we'll try to have the batter all over the pan. Very carefully, very gently. Swiss roll cakes are so soft, they are so gentle, so be gentle with them. Okay, and as you can see here, we still have some bubbles. So here I have a skewer, and I'm just going to prick them just so that we have a smooth layer later on. For those bubbles which are hiding underneath, you just take the skewer and run it through. Just randomly run it through. Feels very fun, right? Alright. So now that this is ready, I'm just going to tap it a few more times before baking, and in this goes into the oven, and we are going to bake this at 180 Celsius. Now after 10 minutes it's ready, so I'm going to bring this out, and you can test it if it's ready or not by pricking. And if it comes out clean, that means the whole cake is done. Otherwise, you see a bit of moist. That means the cake is not ready, so don't bring it out yet. And here, what I'm going to do is to quickly tap this onto the table just to ensure that it doesn't shrink later on due to the different temperature that we have from the oven until it comes to the table. So right now, I'm going to remove this. Whatever you do with this cake, make sure it's gentle. And what I'm going to do is to also remove the bottom layer of the baking paper. So before that, I'm going to lay this with another piece of baking paper, and I'm going to just quickly overturn. Whoops, yep, that's how you do that. And peel this off. This is the final result. Now the bottom side will be where we'll spread the cream later on. And to ensure that this cake gets to roll beautifully, we need to roll it already now, but we're not going to place the cream yet. So the reason why is because if you leave the cake out like this and let it set to room temperature or let it cool down, it will start to harden a little, and once we roll later on with the cream, it's going to crack, so it's not going to look pretty. So using another baking paper or another kitchen towel, you can roll the cake. And then we are going to set this aside and let it cool to room temperature. But before that, we'll need to prepare the cream, right? Now start with cold whipping cream. Pour this into a bowl, then start whipping. Again, I'm going to add sugar a bit at a time. Whipping cream is ready, and that's when we're going to add durian. This durian that I have is actually frozen durian. For those of you who can get fresh durian, use it because the quality is going to be so much more better. But frozen durian does the trick as well. But before using it, remember to remove the seed, but of course, and also to puree it. So you're supposed to blend it really well, or else as you eat the durian, you have like strings. If you know durian, you'll get what I mean. So I've already blended it, pureed it, and now I'm adding it to the whipping cream. And the rest of it I'm going to enjoy later, right after the video. So right here, I'm just going to lightly mix it well. And you want to have really enough of durian meat in the whipping cream, or else it's going to be really creamy but you don't get the durian taste. But that's the beauty of this cake, right? So do not miss that out. Have enough of durian meat in it. Now once the whipping cream is ready, that's when the cake is already to room temperature. It doesn't take too long, so I'm just going to roll it out. It's beautiful. And why I said that the size of the pan is not really ideal, because it's not as thick as how I would want it. If you can see, like this, it's slightly thinner but still very fluffy. It's very soft, so it's okay. But if you want the ideal size, I have it all on the website, and you can head on to the website to check it out. I just didn't want to go out and buy another pan, which I might only use a few times just to bake the Swiss roll cake. Lay it out again. We're going to leave a bit of space because as we roll the cake, the cream is going to come out and it will flow. So not too much to the sides. We're going to leave about an inch just to give a bit of space. And I like to do a bit at a time. Now if you're spreading jam instead, it's going to be much easier to control. With cream, especially when there is durian or other fruits in it, then it might be a bit difficult. Now as I mentioned earlier, if you do not like durian, you can always place some fresh cut fruits like mango or strawberries. I've done it previously and it worked perfectly well, so you can do that as well. I'm just going to spread it right up to here and see what happens later. Now with this, now my advice to you here is don't worry too much about the sides, because we're going to cut them off and you get a taste as well. Now what's really important now is we're going to roll the cake again and secure it with the baking paper. Try to roll as tightly as possible. This is what I like to do, just twist the sides, and if you like, you can secure it with a Glad wrap. We are going to place this in the fridge, but I'm going to warn you first, because once you place it in the fridge, it's going to smell a little. It's durian after all. But anyway, you need that because we want the cake to be slightly chilled and also the cream to be slightly chilled. And then I'm going to show you later how it's going to look like, and also a final tip before we leave this video. Hey guys, I'm back and I left the cake overnight. Now you can cut this immediately after 30 minutes, just let the cake settle down. But I left it overnight because it was too late after recording, so I thought maybe the next day would be better, and I want to show you how it's like. So let's take it off. Whoops, very carefully. You can smell durian. Let's begin by cutting off the sides. Do not throw the sides because we're going to place it on another plate and it can definitely be eaten, although it doesn't look that pretty. So you can cut them into slices whenever you feel like eating them, or you can already cut them into slices and place it into little Tupperwares. It's really up to you. I usually will finish this whole cake within 2 days, and that should be sufficient. If you like, you can always leave it for up to 4 to 5 days. But remember to keep it in Glad wrap, just to ensure that the smell doesn't really affect your whole fridge. At this moment, my fridge is really filled with the aroma of durian, which I don't really mind or don't really care. But I wanted to show you one more thing, which is the taste test. So I'm just going to take the sides, and as you know, as I've already mentioned, the taste is the same, it's just that it doesn't look that pretty. But let's have a look at this here. The Swiss roll is really soft and fluffy. And if I just tear this out, look at that. But you know what? Let's take a bite. This is heavenly, so delicious. The taste of durian is on the spot. It's creamy, it's rich, the cake is soft. You have to try this recipe and let me know what you think. And as usual, once you've recreated this recipe, head on to nyonyacooking.com, look for the recipe, scroll down, and that's where you can upload your video by clicking upload your dish. I can't wait to see the photos. And as usual, if you want to contribute to our work, you want to help us with our work by bringing in more recipes, head on to patreon.com/nyonyacooking, and there we welcome all sorts of contributions in different amount of money. And if you like, you can also just subscribe to our channel and share with your friends and family. That would do us a big favor. Until then, I hope that I'll see you in the next video. I wish you happy cooking.